Hey, we're live. Welcome to the Hangout at the Battle Pirates Crib. I'm the BP Professor, and I'm here with Steven.
Happy Stephen W. Hi, guys. More
Yeah.
on that later.
Hey, look at that. I didn't even put my little overlay up.
Neither did I. Fuck, I'm slacking today.
There we go. All right. So anyway, today we're going to mostly talk about the new prizes, but we have a little more to talk about. So I guess I'll just fire up the screen share and we'll get to it. Should present.
All of Larry's secrets.
Yes, all my Chrome bookmarks. They're so exciting. All right. So anyway, what do we got? Well, we'll start with bug fixes and changes. Most of these are actually changes, not bug fixes. This first one, some adjustments have been made to base relocation that are intended to prevent cases where a player's base might appear both at the old location and new location after a base relocate action. There's actually one of these in my sector in an alliance that we're at war with, and we're calling him mean, nasty names because we can't hit the base, but apparently it's a thing. So
at least you can't be hitting both places at once. I think what's worse, having an orphan base or being hit from two different sectors?
That'd be pretty sweet.
Especially if you're a shit talker, get Ewok and a couple different, bridging some different worlds. Just happy people.
Yeah. Although I guess it'd be unfair to be hit in a world where you can't launch, right? One would assume that you can only launch in one place.
Yeah, so. I would assume so too, because
yeah, in this case, they said he was hit just as he jumped. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but whatever. Okay, so now this other one I think a lot of people have noticed already. Forsaken mission targets have moved to a new spawn system. And what it seems like is they say targets will spawn per active player base when the player comes online. Individual targets will spawn more frequently, though there may be fewer targets on the map altogether. So I guess what's going on is when you come online, there will be Forsaken mission strongholds that spawn by your base, as opposed to having them spawn by your base all the time.
Mm-hmm. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I know some people were complaining that they're not going to be able to farm the lower level targets as efficiently. They're not changing the structures. I I only need my set number of 85s to finish it no matter what. So I don't see this being that bad of a change.
I guess it depends on how fast they're going to respawn, right? I mean, if somebody can stay by their base and keep hitting targets, then I guess that's good. I don't think too many people can do it anymore, but it used to be people used to spend like send 5 or 6 fleets out and auto 27s and 34s, which I think are pretty hard to find now, and I 40s. Assume are about really hard, even harder.
Yeah.
So that's not going to work anymore.
The FM at this point has become something that we've all become accustomed to. The difficulty is decent. The damage is decent, no matter what level you're going at. So I kind of think this is like either you're going to find someone that's going to help you, you're going to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and have to hit slightly harder targets, or you're just going to settle for not getting. I mean, if there's the people that are grinding those low of targets, they're not getting 50 mil. They're not doing 50 mil twice that way. I mean, if you want to get your targets and get your tier 3 and quit, just do an 85, kill a fleet, and get through it and be done. That's my advice to the community. If you're struggling that hard, just do an 85 and call it a day.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And then, and in fact, the benefit of that is if you keep trying to do an 85 every week, eventually you're going to learn how to do it, or build a fleet that can do it, and work your way up.
It is an 85 is incredibly efficient if you want to do instant or minor repair. I used to use all the time back before I built the fleet I'm using now. I'd use Jug X. and a couple Jugex's decoy loaded up with a Vade, and I think it was even just Greta's at that point before even had my Mastodons rolled in, and just pick it at it corner by corner by corner. And if you do it intelligently, you can kite all the fleets. The fleets are not a problem. Just run the fuck away. You don't try to chase those things head on, except for the skinny little pencil dicks that just run at you with the ice cannons. I never remember the name of them. What is the name of that hole? Help me out here. I'm drawing a blank. It's been a long day. Except for that. Move on. People know what I'm talking about.
Well. So the one you can't outrange is the retrofitted SCX, right? The regular SCX you can outrange. The ones that are retrofitted, you can't. So you might as well just run at those. But yeah. But they don't have ice cannons. They've got like scrambler cannons or something.
They're blue. I don't know. I try not to get hit by them. I don't really care. But yeah.
I don't know. I mean, even anything with deflection is just really obviously important these days and does really well against those fleets as a tank. So assault deflection. So do that. Okay, so that's the Forsaken mission. If you have more concerns, throw them up in chat, I guess. I saw something in comms actually just before I started the show, and I haven't seen anything about this anywhere else, so maybe it was just somebody being dumb, about blueprint drops in Forsaken Strongholds. I don't know if anybody else has noticed that today. Again, let us know in comms. It's probably just somebody being dumb. Let's see, added Ghostcrawler shards to the Drac uranium-based drops. We knew that was coming when Kixeye announced that they were going to stop releasing Vanguards.
Mm-hmm.
So now there's that. And then they hid the state of the game pop-up until they get new information, which is fine because I think it's been up there for almost 2 months.
Yeah, it's definitely not relevant at this point.
Yep. Okay. Let's talk hostile takeover. So, new raid type.
I'm just gonna do this for an hour.
You're just gonna shake your head for an hour. I don't think that's good. Good video on YouTube. I don't think that's entertaining. So, what do you think was so awful about this raid?
The level of difficulty from the cold snap rocket turrets that outranged everything you possibly had. I tried to do some B tiers. The 67 alone ate my best fleet twice to do once for each edge. The time you can actually get to the purple level structures that are giving all the buffs, you're taking so much damn damage, man. It killed my tank. It would kill through my tank and at least my secondary spotter right away. I mean, I was probably $8 or $9 into the raid, and I just stopped. I didn't do this raid. I got like $1.5 million from a friend from a 101 target, which we'll talk about, which were good. You had the boats for them. I didn't quite have the right builds. We'll get to that in a little bit. But as for the actual structure of the main targets, I have never been so angry about how. I mean, I literally sat here with my fiance and said, "I'm just not doing it. It's not worth my blood pressure. It's not worth my aggravation, or the kind of person I'm going to be if I tried to seriously hit that raid that weekend." And I feel good for it.
Well, I'm going to agree with the sentiment that if a raid is going to be that difficult for a player, they should not throw huge amounts of money at it and get all pissed off. They should say, screw it, and walk away. So that's good. I mean,
I saw you did a good write-up, and it seemed like it was working well for you. You had some
the megas are working great for me.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't enjoy the stronghold targets myself either. I mean, I could do an ace set for maybe 20 coins or so. I mean, it was not cheap for me either. You know, I didn't do many of them, so I didn't get much practice.
Mm-hmm.
I think the thing that was important was to try to spread out a tank from all your other ships, because those cold snaps had a lot of splash and a lot of range.
What I
a
was
lot of
running into,
splash radius.
I was running into the edge restrictions on retargeting for my mastodons. I was having trouble getting it to the point where my tank would fire, my mastodons would still be close enough to even get salvos off without being in cold snap range or cold snap splash. I felt like I was getting spread through my whole fleet.
Yeah, you have to kind of spread sideways, not like trail by a long distance, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that helped, but again, it didn't help much. And what I ran into is, you know, in the 80, I could deal with the mortar fire, and then once I got to the 83, they started to overwhelm my gales, and that's when I ran into trouble. Is when I had to just when I could stop and pick at a target and not worry about mortar fire, I was doing okay. But when I had to just keep cruising through, it started getting a lot more difficult. And I think I could have done better with practice, but I didn't want to bother because I thought the mega hulls were relatively easy in comparison once you figured them out, once you figured out a strategy for doing them.
That's what everyone I saw was doing, just mega hulls. But what did you think about the range set of having a turret in there that's that egregiously over our max range? Cold snap's what, 115?
Well, I mean, land turrets have always outranged our ships, so that in itself wasn't the problem. I think it was the high damage, you know, the splash and the high damage, and you know, it was hard, and
But here's my question: should a rocket turret outrange your max distance with your longest kite weapon that you possibly have on any of your hulls? Do you think it's fair or a good direction for this game for them to be including content in the raid, not just the base, not what we have to fight one set of 5 ships, but to try to take it as a whole, to have that in the game? Do you think that's a good direction or a good decision in a raid target?
I don't know. You know, it's a new kind of challenge, right? Because for so long we've been used to target or incoming fire that you could evade, and this is just different. This is fundamentally different. And instead of building evade, you got to build resistance and explosive resistance, to be exact. So it it's a shift, and when you need new kinds of fleets to do a raid, it's hard because not a whole lot of players have built a lot of explosive resistance fleets. It just hasn't been an emphasis in this game. But now it's in the raid, and now you're seeing cold snap, and you're gonna see frostbite turrets and bases. So you know, as much D5E as possible is maybe not going to be the right armor choice for all your fleets in the future.
That's everything I've got. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you, and I have some diversity in different ways over the last year and a half, but I think everyone in this fleet, in this that follows us, at the advice of this panel on multiple occasions, has been building nothing but E-heavy fleets. I mean, that's what we've done. That's just the direction we've all taken.
And it's been, you know, it's because the targets that we've seen have needed it. The Scourge needed it. Those revenge raids needed it. Forsaken strongholds needed it. Most base attack fleets need it. You know, APOCs are there, but really, evade will get you quite a long way in a lot of bases. So that you know, it's just a major shift in game direction, and when you're not coining fleets, it's tough to change direction that quickly. I mean, if you really want to try and refit something quick, you know, maybe you need to refit with streamlined CAD, so you at least get repair reductions and more armor points and more speed to try and reduce the effects of splash coming to get you. You know, it's tough. And
if it's this direction for the next few raids, I'm going to be saving a lot of money I'll put it that way, Kickside. I'll be doing a lot more 101s, and I will not be doing any of these because you've angered a player in a way that the old me. I mean, I didn't want to do the show tonight, guys, because I didn't think I could control my temper enough to stay in a professional manner to say this in an adult way and not just screw Kickside. Because it's right on the tip of my tongue. I want it. Oh, fuck, Kickside might come out a little later on the show because this is just, in my opinion, and I think in the opinion of a lot of players, as I'm seeing some from chat here too, this was an affront to their player base. The idea of this has always been go slow, go take your time, grind out your weekend, or give us some money, hit it hard, hit it fast. The ones were that option of here's your high point load. They made one quick point. I know I'm going off hard, but here's the idea. They made a point to diminish point loads from hitting things below your level. It took away that. They cut your points in dramatically if you try to go the low level. They took away all our options to go cheap this raid. And the way that we used to do is take our time was a punch in the face. That's why I'm so upset about it. If this was the A's, I'd be okay. A 67 should not kill two of my best fleets to do half of it. A single 67. And some of that might be down to driving, but I did try. I mean, I tried to spread. I definitely read your advice ahead of time. I tried to take this in a smart direction. I don't want to light my money on fire. I do a lot playing this game, but I don't want to just throw the 20s behind me. So I was giving it a good effort, and it was hitting me in ways that I just didn't expect. That's why I feel hurt. I'll put it that way. You know, you get to a certain level in this game, you start to feel like you can hold your own. You can, I'm up here. I try to give some advice to the community on things that we think work, and then you just pull the rug out from us. So I want to play this game, Kickside. I like playing this game. Give me more incentive to play this game. Give me I said it to Earth before the show. I have never had more coins on my account than I do right now in my entire time playing this game. It's a pretty good number, and they didn't get any of it. They may not get it for a long time. They may get it in drips and drabs until it runs out.
So, yeah, I mean, if I had to stick to doing A sets, I would not have finished the raid. I would not have gotten all the prizes, and I did. I got all the prizes. I got all the the tokens and all that. And I did it because I was able to do megas easily. And by easily, I mean 3 coins or 2 coins when I did it right. Now, I'm going to say this about the mega. There was a while back when I think it was even Robot before Doom Rooster. And he was on Battle Vortex, and he said something like, we want to make targets that are like puzzles. That if you just cruise in and hit them, you're going to get your butt kicked. But if you actually think about it and figure out the best way to do it, then you can do it fairly easily. And these megas were the first target where I've actually seen that happen. Okay? Because if you just cruise into the mega, you would die very, very quick. But there are ways to do it for less damage and extremely low damage. So I think that was good. And maybe not every player quite had the fleet to do a mega. I mean, you still needed to deal with those 4 platforms, which did have a cold snap on them. They weren't as heavily protected as the A set platforms, but they do some damage, and you had to deal with those ships, and having a Punisher tank, which is what I had, really helped. So yeah, I mean, if you're still saying I don't have a good fleet, I need to catch up, this is definitely not a raid where you can catch up.
No.
But I don't think the Citadel is really the right ship for a player who needs to catch up anyway, although getting a Rhino would be. Now, in terms of helping players, this raid I thought was really good for players that needed help. Because, again, anybody who could do a mega could say, well, just sit in this mega and I'll get you 1.5 million. And that was, I finished the raid in about a day. And then for the rest of the weekend, I just, logged on every couple hours, said, hey, who wants some points? And had them sit in a mega with me. And and I didn't spend any money, and they got 1.5 million points, and then I came back in a couple hours and repeated it. So, um, you know, I don't know. Maybe this raid is an example of the haves getting more and the have-nots kind of being locked out.
I mean, I'm not going to try to blow my own bubble, but I like to think I'm a decent player with a decent level of hardware and stuff built.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is the haves, have a little bit less getting screwed, and everybody else got shunted. Because you said it was a great prep raid. It was. I saw lots of people doing that. The 101s are where it was at. THE made a really good video they pumped out in the first 6 hours, and then they got picked up by BV. Liam posted it as his own. Thank you very much, my friend. But no.
See, I figured it out on that first night, and then I said, okay, well, I'll put this in my one day in article, and I'll tell my own alliance about it. But I wasn't gonna put it out right away, but I guess others did.
That was a good shining star for this. I don't have scattergun tigers built. That was the kicker and the real one that made the 101 so easy. I think a lot of people did them and prepping out with no problem at all. So maybe build some scattergun tigers. Maybe for the next raid. I don't know.
Those are long builds. I mean, I don't have them. I was just doing it with my regular fleet. And again, Punisher and Rhinos.
Yeah, we'll get to. Well, I'm sure we'll get to that a little later. The uranium, though, good move, Kickstarter. I have some good points to talk about, but I just see the 101 stay. Were you okay? You said you were doing it for 2 or 3 coins, so you're apparently good with the difficulty on them, the availability on them.
Yep. We didn't run out. Again, I did the whole raid for less than 100 coin, which I think is very good.
Mm-hmm.
So, and especially because a lot of that coin was like 2 A sets.
Yeah,
over half of it probably.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I had the fleet and the strategy on a 101 and did it easily. So I guess we got 2 stories here.
Yep. Chat's saying 24 days to 31 days for a scatter tiger, depending on your build. So
I think that's ridiculous. I just you're talking 3 to 4 months for
$150 a pop. You just speed them up, $600. You have tomorrow.
Sure. Someone else can do that.
Someone got a black card I can borrow?
Yeah. My actual plan is so I built my 4 tigers with Styx torps, and then I built a Phantom, and actually I built it mostly blank, but I do plan to put scatter guns on that one ship if I get the urge to use my shipyard for that, which right now I don't. So we didn't talk about the prizes yet. Citadel, I haven't seen too many of them out there.
I haven't run across it on anyone out there. Anybody in chat? We'll go ahead and come back around this in a second. If you guys have seen them, seen any good videos, go ahead and point it out. We might even just cut it into the live show if you guys see a good video of them in action.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a cool concept, this 100% remote targeting mortars. I mean, you should be able to do some cool stuff with spotters and just call down fire. And I don't know. I mean, it would be kind of maybe tough to prep with it since you'd be worried about over prepping. But I don't know. It seems it has potential, but I think we talked about it last week. It's just the speed of the mortars. They're not a game changer, I think.
Too slow. Just still too slow. I mean, like you said, you crunched the numbers last week, and it was incredibly slow compared to any other projectile. Everything's gonna be dead. If you put them in there with a Mastodon, or the Rhino's gonna kill everything before the damn mortars will come down. So it can't even be a mixed fleet. Like you want to say, hey, one of these, one of a Rhino at equal speed, and well, you're not because it's slow. we talked about that one. It's damn slow.
Well, and I guess what's disappointing is although they reduced a lot of build times for specials and older hulls, a fully loaded Citadel is still probably 18-19 day build. So that's really not what I'd like to see. I think, again, I talked about it last week. I'd like to see top-end ships be more like 14-day builds. So
I would too. You'd get a lot more money on me, Kixeye. I've said it once. I've said it again. Increase my value for money, and you would get a lot more of my money.
All right, we'll move on from the raid.
But she's got to go away. Damn. Oh,
we got more. Yeah.
Yeah, your last week was lacking. You slacked off last week, good sir.
Well, okay. I'll take that. I'll try to make up for it this week. So these lovely ladies are enjoying the VXP weekend. At least that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So VXP weekend starts tomorrow morning if you're in California, midday if you're on the East Coast, or afternoon if you're in the UK, and ends on Sunday morning, midday, afternoon. So reverse salt bases will be only Friday night through Sunday morning. So half that time you'll be able to do the reverse salt bases. And again, you got those, you got salvages and elite salvages, you got the unidentified raiding fleets. So a range of options to get more XP than normal. Use your salty dogs, hit the hellhounds in those assault bases. Excuse me. Yep. I think we've talked about VXP weekend advice before.
Do you think it's kind of weird how close it is to the raid? Uses a week buffer there. Give you a little time to get some stuff done, finish it. I mean,
yeah, I'm trying to remember if last month
there was a
week.
They skipped a week.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure Chad will back me up on this because they love calling me out when I'm wrong. But I can guarantee, I'm 98% sure last time around we had a little buffer between it. I don't have anything to level. I don't know about you. I mean,
I've got that Phantom Tiger. There's not much weapon on it. That's
maybe some really old, maybe some Gretas, just because they're sticking to my base card as spotters. I mean, I'm pretty much out of stuff to level. Yeah, don't take us away though, Kixeye.
Right. I've been building a lot of tanks and support ships and stuff like that. So those aren't totally leveled yet. So I can get some more rank on those. I started an all Punisher fleet. So, but that's not even close to done. That'll be like the next VXP weekend.
Yeah, Chat's confirmed it was a week in between last time.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't have a whole lot to do, but I'll just throw random ships at it again. And I said ships, not shit. But I just said shit. All right. So that's VXP weekend. Let's talk about Forsaken mission prizes. So we've got the new UAV. It's about the same build time as the other Draconian UAV, which is just over 9 hours. It's lighter. It adds resistances and armor. It does more damage, but it doesn't have splash. It doesn't have submerged damage, and it's got low building damage. So I did a big write-up on UAVs yesterday on the blog. If you haven't read it, I suggest you go read it. It's got lots of numbers and stuff. So do that. And what I ended up saying in the article was that this is probably best for more kind of, you got to really think about if you want to use this. It might be good as like your guard fleet because it does more damage, and it'd probably be more effective against high deflection ships because it does more damage per hit. Although, you know, if you get a ship with like 70% explosive resistance and 500 deflection, it's still going to be doing almost 0 damage. So I you know, that so that about covers this UAV. You know, I don't think there's going to be like massive reasons to refit over your bombers.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, this is definitely a specialized We talked about Kickside moving towards specialized fleets. This is definitely, you said, decent base potential as a base card. I think the splash is the biggest part of the other version. I mean, that's what really sells it to me. This is another video and see kind of situation. I want to see what this looks like in action, and then I'll make my decision. I'm not dropping the credit card anytime soon.
Yeah. You know, I was kind of toying around with refitting a Harlox Atlas with Drac UAVs, because right now I got mostly Locus on that. But yeah, I don't know. I ran my own numbers and I shared the results. And I don't know. Putting these things on a Harlox Atlas just didn't seem all that attractive. So I'm probably gonna wait. So that's about it for this UAV. Anything?
No, that's good. I mean, like I said, this is definitely a wait and see kind of situation. The math looks okay. Like you said, I gotta see it. I gotta see it in practice. So I'm gonna move on to the next one.
Okay. So the Basilisk. I don't know the build time yet on this one. With Kicksai's latest build times, I'd probably expect it to be in the 5 to 7 day range. Maybe someone from chat can let us know. But it's got splash spread, 105 range, so that's kind of a big deal because it outranges ships. And this is the scatter gun. It does the splash, does corrosive damage. And I'll share the numbers in a couple slides, so just be patient. The other thing to notice, I guess, about this is quick reload time, 3 seconds. So you might be able to get multiple shots off if this is decently well protected. I would hold my beer bottle up to the screen, but it's empty and it's beer. And I'm sharing slides.
This shit tastes like paint thinner, but it keeps me awake. So win-win. I don't know. You got to balance. NOS energy drinks, you do not taste good, but you have that kick in the side of the face where you're like, that's doing something. That's what this stuff does.
Well, you should drink that Mountain Dew Kickstart with the Puppy Monkey Baby.
Puppy Monkey Baby. Puppy Monkey Baby. Hey, but you remembered it, and you're talking about it, so it was a good ad.
Yeah. I like the puppy monkey baby. Yeah. Okay, so next we've got a new special, hydroxide coated barrels. So this is sort of like barrel system. It increases the multi-shot of scatterguns, multi-shot weapons, which I think only are scatterguns right now. Mm-hmm. And when that doesn't divide the same damage between more shots, it actually does increase your damage by that ratio. So this actually, because you do 30% more damage per group of shots, and then also increase the number of shots, this actually increases your damage by quite a bit. So if you're using scatterguns, this is a really good special. And the build time, actually, somebody in my alliance won this and refit over, like lead panels 1, and said it was like a 17-hour refit. So really? Not too bad. Well, specials are not as long. So, but yeah, not too bad. 17 hours.
That's actually good. So, this was interesting. I like this one, especially with the new turret that's coming out. So this is... Yeah.
I mean, this is what you want to use with scatterguns. And here on this next page, I've got the numbers.
Of course you do.
Of course I do, because I'm going to have to run these for my article anyway.
See, guys, you guys do not want to know what happens if I have to run the numbers. Because Larry runs them, they're dependable, they're correct. Mine would be on the back of a napkin covered in ketchup, probably.
I'm going to say usually correct, because I will admit my UAV article needed some corrections right after it came out, and I appreciate my readers who pointed that out. So, so they're as good as I can get them. So anyway, so there's a couple numbers to look at. First of all, so I start with the Drax scattergun, the limited turret. Right now, I put eruption pyre on mine to get more splash out of them. Really. Scattergun ups your damage, your expected damage, but the hydroxide barrels really ups your damage, right? From a little under 600 DPS to over 900 DPS. So that's like a 50% increase. It's a really, really big increase, and it's something you really want to use on those scattergun type turrets. If you look at the Basilisk, it does less damage, or I should say less DPS, because it does less damage, but it only does it twice as fast, and it also has the higher spread. So, but that might not, this accuracy number is kind of an estimate, and an estimate based on a single target that's not moving. So, the higher spread in reality might not be as bad as this kind of calculation makes it look. So, I think the Basilisk is pretty good. Again, the hydroxide barrels are a really good increase to damage. Again, in fact, so the multi-shot on a Drax scattergun is like a 20% increase, because you're going from 10 shots to 12 shots. For the Basilisk, you go from 6 shots to 8 shots. So instead of a 20% increase, it's a 33% increase. So it's even better on the Basilisk than it is on the scattergun. It doesn't quite double your damage, but it's like a 75% increase in your damage. Really nice. So, turrets, frontline turrets with a range of 105 are good, because they're going to do damage as long as you're not dumb and lay out your turrets so that they get hit by retargeted or splash.
Yeah, I saw that in chat, and I think this is really a turret that you're going to want to nestle in the middle of your pain point in your base. Wherever that spot is that you can't run past without, if you run through, you're going to be toast, is where I want this to be. Yeah, I want you to have to kill this. And that way my guard fleet's killing you, or my APOCs are killing you, or you're not going to stick this on the edge of your base and try to get one free shot as they come in the channel. So
yeah,
it's all about how you lay out your base. And no, I do not have Earth tied up in the basement. Thunder Kitty is working, dealing with some crazy electrical shit in the UK. He's keeping your lights on to those overseas viewers. But he keeps leaving the bag here with me and Larry. So yeah, you guys get the fearsome twosome here.
I did, yes. But Earth is around. Promise. He's not locked up in anybody's basement. No. Okay. And then I also ran the Cold Snap and Frostbite numbers just to kind of compare. Cold Snap does a lot of damage. If you look at the DPS numbers for the Frostbite compared to the Basilisk, Frostbite does a lot more DPS. It's got the thing to notice about the Frostbite is that one burst does so much more damage. It's got a really long reload, so you're probably only going to get one burst, but that's a big burst. And 12,000 divided by 5, it's 2,400 per projectile. And that means that you've got a good chance of actually doing real damage when faced with high deflection ships. I don't know about you guys, but I'm finding it pretty tough to kill Punishers in my base.
Yeah, I haven't gotten hit by them yet. I don't know what. Sure, somebody will come and do that now that I've said that. Feel free. Sit next to Earth. Well, come get me.
Yeah, I don't know. We're in a bit of a war, so
hopefully, maybe I'll get hit by one, and I can talk about it next week.
Yeah. I think actually twice now I've killed the rest of the fleet and just had like a lone Punisher just kind of buzzing around. They're just tough to kill. Mm-hmm. So all right. So that's the turrets. Overall the Basilisk and the new barrel system, the new hydroxide barrels, they're good prizes. Good for your base defense. I think I'll start to replace my pyros. Maybe the question that people are going to be asking is, should I use a basilisk or a frostbite? And it's a good question, right? The frostbite definitely does more damage per burst, and probably has a better chance of overcoming deflection, right? You got 2,400 per hit, but it does explosive, which means resistance. The basilisk does, like 2380 divided by 6. So you're talking like 400 per hit. So there's no resistance against that, but punishers are going to deflect that away to whatever the minimum damage is. So I don't know. I don't know what's really going to be best. I'm sort of leaning towards frostbite myself. But I can't back that up. So there.
Yeah. Base defense and stuff is subjective. It's really hard to give advice on what's going to work for everyone. It comes down to your layout. So I have one frostbite building.
Down to your layout.
I think I got one built, and I'm working on the other one, on the basilisk right now, if I'm correct.
It comes down to your layout. It comes down to, what your guard is, and it comes down to what kind of fleets hit you. You might do well against some fleets and poor against others. So there's that. But again, I think either one is a good choice compared to our current alternatives. So now we're on to screw up some breakthroughs, and actually I didn't have many. So she's not happy because there's screw ups. So anyway, I'm not sold on the spawning thing, the spawning change. Maybe it's a little early to call it a screw up, but it's the best I could do for this week. What do you think? I guess you're going to call the raid a screw up.
The raid's a fucking screw up. The raid was a clusterfuck of epic proportions. I haven't seen out of Kickstarter in 2.5 years. That's what this raid was.
So wait a minute. When the first Scourge raid was really hard for a lot of players.
I skipped the first Scourge raid too.
Well, so do you think the first Scourge raid was harder? I don't think the first Scourge raid had the alternative type of target.
Yes and no. If you try to hit a 101 directly and you didn't have the fleets, I would say that this one was harder. If you're getting the prep, this was not as bad as Scourge. If you have people to prep for you, which you should. In my defense, my lack of defense, I didn't go looking for it. I was just so pissed. I worked and did other things throughout the weekend, so I didn't even try. I'm sure if I'd asked around in chat, more people would be more, or alliances or friends, people would have been more than happy to help me out, and I would have done better this raid. But I just took my tokens and moved on. It's a toss-up. Are you asking me which one's worse, maximum security prison and getting my arms chopped off? They both fucking suck. How about that?
Okay. You said it was the worst in 2.5 years, so I just wanted to compare it to the last tough raid, which again I think the last Scourge one. For me, the last Scourge one was a lot harder because I wasn't quite ready yet. Yeah.
See, now I have thermal, so I have the thermal fighters, unless they screw that up again to make my Tigers inefficient. I'd like to say I'm okay with Scourge. I mean, that's the reason I built a second Tiger, just to be able to deal with that level. So Scourge don't scare me. As soon as I say shit like that, they're going to change it. So I'm just knocking some wood over here. While we're talking about it, are we going to get to the uranium factor of the raid? Did you know if you tied that in, if we skipped it, you want to get back to it? Because I was happy with that.
Yeah, we can talk about that now.
That was one of the nicer things I've seen them do in a while. The targets were decent. Talking about using my 2 Tigers, I definitely, when I was pissed, I literally got pissed. I got one level of my research done, got ground out like 200K of uranium. Should have done a lot more, but it was a really busy weekend for me, so it was what it was. That was a good addition. Usually we're kind of starving for uranium in the middle of the raid, and it came in a way that was not only approachable but economical. You know, it was instant repair. If you get caught, whatever, use your Tigers. Take a little time, get your 80s and get 15 was it 15,000 and 80, something like that.
14,000. Yeah. I mean, I used Tigers and I could just do 80s and 40s. I could auto 40s.
So you have 4 done, don't you?
Yeah.
So you got it done. I mean, I was doing it with 2, so it wasn't. I'm not complaining, but it was taking a little bit of focus and driving, just because the firepower wasn't there as compared to a full fleet. But I'm sure you were having a field day with it.
Yeah, I mean, I could do the 80s just barely before I surfaced. If I did it just right, I didn't even surface and finished an 80. And then actually you could do the 60s as well. Someone pointed out, you know, I mentioned the daggers in the 60s that made it kind of tough to do with subs. They actually didn't, because if you took out the Vipers first or you made sure there were no Vipers nearby, the daggers actually wouldn't hurt you while you were submerged. So
I got caught a little bit in the 60s. I definitely got screwed. 80s were kind of cakewalk to me. They just took time.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Since the 80s were so easy with subs, you didn't have to like bother with the 60s. So, yeah.
That was a good addition, Kickside.
Yeah,
2 thumbs up for something this week. Nothing else. But for this, you get 2 thumbs up.
Yeah.
Keep it up.
All right.
I want to see this in every damn raid. There's no excuse for me to not get uranium during a raid. I mean, we don't do dredges anymore, so this is a good alternative. And they were everywhere. Everywhere you looked, every single tower, they were loaded. They were filthy with them all weekend. So
yeah, plenty of targets and pretty easy. And you know, again, if you didn't have the subs to do them yourself, you know, I'm sure somebody with subs would have prepped.
Oh yeah, no problem at all. So hopefully that'll be around for a long time to come.
Yep. All right.
It's not all negative people, just most.
And this week's Kickside breakthrough, I didn't really have one, but you know, hot chicks on your boat would be a nice breakthrough. So there they are. Maybe we could just say this uranium thing was kind of a breakthrough, having easy uranium during a raid.
Yeah, I definitely would. I mean, they don't throw us many bones, especially during half repair. So this was nice to see something, anything.
Speaking of throwing nah.
You know what I keep thinking is that engine's got to be hot as fuck. Like one slip, she goes right on that exhaust. Bad day.
Yeah, it'd hurt. That'd leave a mark.
Bikinis and exhaust. Tat to cover it up. Yeah, bikinis and exhaust manifolds don't mix very well. It's like bikinis and jet skis. They're all fun until things go wrong, and then it gets real bad. I'll let you guys feel that. Go Google some shit.
Bikinis and jet skis? You know I'm going to be on that one. Okay.
So where are we at? I didn't look at the slides. Is there anything else we got today?
That is it for the slides. And so I'm going to stop screen sharing as soon as I find the button.
All right, we'll go to chat. Button. Nice. I did not, because I was so busy venting and yelling and telling how much I hate Kickside. I did not get my usual questions, comments, concerns in the thread in our chat here. So guys, go ahead and throw any questions.
I was in a rush.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
I'm not even on the YouTube link, so
we
could talk about the beer I'm drinking this week. I bought some. I'm out of Mad Tree. I bought some Saranac.
Saranac is a great brewery. Hold on one second. Let me just put this in here. Questions, comments, and concerns. Go here. Yeah, guys, go get them in, and we'll try to get somebody on the show. Saranac is from a great brewery in upstate New York, right there in Utica. Right.
Okay.
It is where my family's home from is New Hartford and Utica, and they're 2 towns that butt up against each other in upstate New York. And Saranac is from my hometown.
Okay. So, so this was on sale, $7 for a 12-pack at Jungle Gyms. So
you should get their root beer. Their root beer's delicious.
Really?
Oh, it's whenever we used to go up there, my dad would go get me a 6-pack, and we'd bring it back to North Carolina to drink here.
Well, you know, I was on a brewery tour, and they talked about doing root beer, and they say that for brewery, a root beer is fantastically profitable because instead of taking a couple months to brew, it takes like 2 days.
Yep.
So they like making root beer and do a good job of it. Maybe Mad Tree ought to make some root beer. That'd be nice.
Are we the root beer aficionados podcast now? Are we just moving away from Battle Pirates? I could do a whole show about root beer.
If we got questions in chat, we can talk about it, or we can end the show.
We could do a correspondence episode where Steven makes root beer floats.
I like root beer floats.
Come on, guys, questions. I know you guys gotta have some kind of comments about the raid, about Steven needs to shut up about the raid. Somewhere in there, there's some comments or concerns that you have that you want us to voice.
Don't make me open up YouTube. Yeah.
I am considering putting explosive 4 on my R5 Mastodons for the projectile speed. What do you think from the BP Prof?
I mean, there's probably a better choice. You know, I'd rather have increased damage than increased projectile speed. So, you know, you could put the strike warheads, or even enhanced warhead, or interception system. So I mean, it's not terrible, and it works. It works on missiles, but I would just think there's a better choice. And you know what? There might be one drawback, actually. So it might hurt the amount of missiles that can retarget, because they're kind of like closer to the target when, I don't know. I wouldn't do it just because I think there's better choices.
Strike warheads is definitely your better. I mean, strike warheads and guided missile on there, and then build your defenses. That's definitely the path that's what I took with my rhinos, and that's what I kind of think you should do in general. I mean, if you're gonna have one special on there for it, if it's just for your base, that's the bigger question. It's are you trying to do damage against a single target? Or are you trying to live against?
But see, even if it's in your base, it's not going to get you more missiles in the air.
Yeah,
they'll get there sooner, but it's not getting you more missiles in the air. So it's not really changing your damage. You might kill targets faster, but I'd rather just do more damage.
Right. Let's see.
I really like interception system because you can't retro the damage like you can with strike warheads. Mm-hmm. But you get that speed bump, and I love fast fleets. That Punisher fleet that I mentioned that I'm working on, combat speed 44.
Yeah, I need to build some Punishers. Once this, I'm finally tweaking some shit on my defense. I'm dedicated a whole 10 days to fixing a good chunk of my base guard. So I'll show it to Larry after the show, and if it's really bad, he can mock me about it next week. I wasted started my month, so you guys will all know how it goes. I want to get the BP Prof seal of approval for a share.
I don't think I would spend time on the show mocking you. I'd probably just mock you right away.
Oh, thank you. But then you'd always have it just start the next show. Yeah, there's never an excuse needed to mock me. So that answers the last good question we have here in chat, which is I lost it. Of course, I lose it. I lose it every damn time. Well, are Punishers able to flatten a good base?
Wait, what?
Are Punishers able to flatten a good base? And the answer is if they're Larry's, then yes.
Well, you know what? Those Punishers I'm building are probably not going to be able to flatten a base. They're really targeted toward dubs.
Mm-hmm. Sorry. You and Urf have the monster dub build. We will get. I'm not gonna break that curtain open because it's not mine to give. But when you look, I just want to say this: that fleet that you two are building is a testament to fucking numbers. Because when you crunch some of the numbers down that some of those things do, it's shocking, and it's only because you guys planned it out so well. Yeah.
You know, and I'll just say it was a collaborative effort. You know, Urf had some good ideas, I had some good ideas, and when we put those together, it got pretty. I'm pretty excited. I know some of his ally mates have coined it. I'm not coining it, but it's only 45 days build time for me for 4 ships. So because I'm not even doing super heavy armor. So I'm super excited, and yeah, I'm sorry I'm being a little bit obtuse. I'm not totally comfortable with giving out other people's builds,
Nope.
but maybe once I get mine built and use it,
So I need to hurry up and build mine too. Speaking of Alliance comms, admin comms, I got it too. I don't have to make a count to make it appear immediately, but I've got it.
Yeah, I think I got like 3 days left on my first one, so we'll see.
Well, chat looks kind of dead. It looks like we kind of hit all the.
Well, okay, but hold on. So I do want to get back to that question. So Punisher builds for bases.
Mm-hmm.
I have been hearing about Punishers with mortars, Punishers with launchers, and they take advantage of that projectile speed, and they take advantage of the fact that they're so freaking hard to kill.
Mm-hmm.
And those kind of launcher and mortar builds do pretty well. So, you know, it's also situational, and we talked about a little earlier. Base defense is very situational. You know, you can do well against some fleets and not well against others. But yeah, I think there are some good all Punisher fleets that could take down good bases because they're hard to kill. And I don't know of a good prescription that says this is how you defend against Punishers, because you can build them with very high resistance, and then they take 500 damage off whatever hits them, and so they're just hard to kill, and that's their best trait.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
I'm gonna give myself a big "I told you so" on those. In fact, because when those came out, I said this is one of the rare cases where the hull is a lot better than the weapon, and I think that has really proven true, probably even more than I thought.
If the Punisher had come out this rate, I would have spent money this rate. That's how good this hull is. That's how good the Punisher is. I went back and checked just to make sure I didn't screw up last week and looked at it, and it's sitting there, and you know, I've got the blueprint, so might be my next course of action.
Yeah, I mean, just building one as a tank is a great thing. You know, you build a spotter for your rhinos.
I don't have anything with deflection, though. That's my problem. So that's my next move.
Yeah, you need it. You need it. And that's why the cold snaps were eating up your tank, because it didn't have deflection.
That is true.
You would have had a lot different experience. You know.
Well, maybe I can get a Punisher done before the next raid, and maybe I will have a different experience. We have a better tank.
You know, you absolutely can, right? I mean, all right. In fact, I'm going to share my Punisher tank build. If you guys want to just bear with me a second, I'll pull it up in Huggies and pull that up. Just so, I mean, it's not all that creative, but just so you guys all understand what a Punisher tank ought to look like.
Someone in chat said, "Isn't the new UAV intended to kill Punishers?"
Maybe. I'll say that. That their high damage per shot is probably one of the better ways that you could kill Punishers, and we'll have to see if it works well.
Cuttlefish, this is the reason you do watch the show, is the secret info from the BP Prof. You get the exclusives here live before we push these out. You're a whole hour ahead of the BP community, because they have to watch from the beginning just to find what you already know, because you're in the know and you're here, you're live, and that's good for you.
Yeah. So this is my Punisher build that I'm using. So it's 2 D5Es, Streamline CAD, a bunch of Gales, 1 Harrier, 1 Siege Cannon, and then it's got solid fuel booster so I can use the Harrier for spotting. You know, another option is to use a 98U, and then you free up the special slot, but you lose the you lose a little bit of range. So that's a choice you got to make.
And sometimes that little bit of range really does matter. I think the spotter there is the most important part. I've done it in the past with spotters where I think I did it to my Frosty, and I took it all off and put a U on it, and that extra 3 or 4 points meant that I had to use my V2H as my actual kite boat, and just because it had an extra 3 range. So
Yeah.
that's kind of a kicker there.
Yeah, I agree. My Neptune, I did the 98U. The Neptune was kind of my previous spotter, and it made a difference. It makes a difference in the 85 strongholds. So with 5 specials, it's worth it. So then I use Gales. Maybe another option would be to up your resistances even more with some impact Rs, but I used Gales. I like having the mortar defense, and it came in handy this raid. It would have been even worse if I didn't have them. They're good against UAVs or mortars.
So did you put your siege battery over countermeasure specials?
Yes. Yeah, siege battery. I mean, look at this turret defense. I mean, I'm in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Can't ask for any more.
Yeah. So, and then, I sucked it up. I used all the best limited specials. I used Agility 4. I used hydraulic resistors. I used D6A. The tank is the one where it's definitely totally worth it to spend the extra time on the specials. So yeah, I mean, this is a straightforward build. I mean, the Streamline CAD is a lot for speed, as well as the S cannon. My Rhinos have speed 5 and interception system, so I just needed the speed to match. But that's the Punisher, and it's a great tank. And so this build was 17 days. It's not super quick. Again, if you drop to like Scrambler instead of Agility, that cuts 2 days. You could maybe cut the armor if you really wanted to, although I think there's a lot of people out there who would say 14,000 armor just isn't enough. It's probably not enough for a player base or a good player base. So
the FM all day. I mean, FM,
yep.
The targets. I mean, the deflection's huge. The overall defense from the turrets is huge. It's what you're building it for. So
yeah. I mean, this fleet will do the Forsaken mission in one shot. It doesn't have to come home to repair.
Well, I think we got one good question here to finish it up. Thank you guys for putting in questions, but you're kind of doing them all here at the end. So we're going to take one more. Get them in earlier, guys. Vanguard. This was the Vanguard's last appearance. So what do we think the replacement will be? Air? I don't know.
Don't know. The concept of the Vanguards is really interesting, right? Because if you think about it from Kixeye's perspective, what they've done is they've said, so when these high-level players who finish the raid in 3 hours say, I'm done, the Vanguards meant that there's something else for them to do.
It's a smart balance because it doesn't mean that you have to crank the intensity up to keep everyone engaged. So right. You're right. It's definitely it was a smart creative decision by Kixeye to introduce them in the first place. So they're leaving a big hole behind. Like you said, some people finish in the first day. They're like, well, they changed it 6 hours into the raid. Well, it was done in the first 2 hours. Like, those people are never going to be happy with the difficulty of a raid. It leaves a big hole. It leaves a really big hole that I'm interested to see how they're going to fill. And I'm sure they have people working on it right now.
Yeah, so I guess there will probably be something. I don't know what it's going to be.
All right, guys, I think we're done with questions for the night. I appreciate you guys are getting a lot of activity in, but try to get them a little earlier next time. We'll try to get to them all.
Sorry, I'm not on chat.
So, guys, you want to let's go ahead and wrap it up. You want to pip the blog before we kick it on out of here?
Yeah, so the blog, bpprof.blogspot.com. Like I said earlier, there's an article with some numbers on the UAVs. I think that one's probably worth reading. Just like all my articles are worth reading, but this one's a good one. And I'll be putting up one about the new turret and turret special soon. I guess sometimes I have them written and just put them up after the show, but I do not have that one written yet. I guess I have to do that. I'm in a little bit of a sector war, so it keeps me a little busier. So
All right, guys. Well, thank you everyone that came out tonight. Sorry to people who did not like sitting through Angry Steven's session, but hopefully we won't be this pissed off next week. So see what they can do next week to not make me so angry. Thanks to everyone that came out. Thanks again to all of our live watchers. We really do appreciate everyone that comes out and contributes during the show. We like the people watching after the day, but you guys need to come down, get your butts out here on a Wednesday evening, 7 o'clock. If my butt can be here and talk to the internet for an hour, you guys come watch me and make fun of me. So I want to thank Larry for coming out tonight, of course, with all the great numbers and everything else we have. Irf is still locked in my basement. Maybe he'll come out next week. I don't know. We'll see.
We'll try to get Irf next week.
All right, guys. We'll go ahead and hit that magic button right now and lock it up. So goodbye. See you guys next week.
Good night.